Hello, friends. Today we're talking about a question I hear all the time, especially from people who are deconstructing religious beliefs and discovering new ways to think about love, sex, and relationships. And the question is, how do I tell my partner I'm interested in non-monogamy? I'm super nervous. They're going to be upset that I even want to have this conversation. I'm the ex-mormon therapist with the emphasis on ex. I'm a certified sex therapist here to help you get information we never got at church, unlearn the shame we did get at church, and reconnect you with your pleasure. Make sure to subscribe if you're looking for real talk and tips and tricks to better sex and relationships. Okay, so first off, if this is you asking this question, you are not alone. Many people who grew up in high-demand religious systems are reclaiming autonomy, exploring sexuality, and rethinking what healthy relationships can look like. It's super normal to feel scared or even guilty bringing this up, especially if your programming taught you that even thinking about someone else was sinful. But this is not about betrayal. This is about curiosity, authenticity, growth, and ethics. Here are some common worries and fears people experience when considering whether to bring up non-monogamy with their partner. Fear of hurting them. Like, what if they think I don't love them anymore? What if they feel rejected or like they're not enough? I don't want to ruin what we have. Another big fear is that of being misunderstood. They'll think I just want to cheat. Maybe they'll assume this is all about sex, or I'm just having a midlife crisis. They might feel blindsided or betrayed by my curiosity. You might have a fear of rejection or judgment, like they'll be angry or disgusted or disappointed in me. What if they think I've lost my values and my morality? What if they shut down the conversation and never want to talk about it again? What am I supposed to do with this interest then? Maybe there's a fear of conflict or fallout, like, this is for sure going to cause a fight. They might threaten to leave or actually leave me. And what if this breaks our trust completely? Another thing that might be coming up for you is internalized shame or guilt. Am I being selfish for wanting this? I already deconstructed my faith. Will this feel like another betrayal, especially if you were the first one to deconstruct your faith in a marriage or partnership? Am I risking something good for something I can't even define? And then there's also fears of not knowing what comes next. Like, what if they are interested and maybe I'm not actually ready? Or what if I open this door and then regret it? What if we're not strong enough as a couple to handle this? And you might also worry about losing the power of the narrative. Like, oh, if I say this, maybe they'll tell their friends or family and paint me as the bad one. Maybe people will think I'm unstable, unfaithful, or addicted to sex, which is something the world loves to talk about. I don't have the words to explain this in a way that sounds healthy. So all of these worries are super valid. They're often rooted in fears of attachment, cultural messaging, and internalized monogamy scripts. We can definitely help you in therapeutic and coaching spaces to work through these fears and to access a more grounded, compassionate way to approach the conversation. But let's get into some of the tips I might share. So before you bring it up with a partner, check in with yourself, right? Ask yourself, why am I interested in E&M? Is it about sexual exploration, emotional expansion, a desire for more autonomy and freedom? Is it a way to revisit parts of my youth that I feel like I lost to a high-demand religion? Is it coming from a place of wholeness or escaping certain discomforts, especially discomforts that maybe you're not addressing in your current relationship? What kind of E&M am I curious about? Swinging, polyamory, relationship anarchy, something else? You don't have to know exactly, obviously, but some clarity might help, especially as you prepare to share your thoughts and ideas with your partner. And then also ask yourself, am I ready to hear my partner's truth? Just like I want to be safe and being able to express some interests, I'm guessing my partner wants to feel safe to be able to respond in whatever way they will. After all, if you're going to be able to successfully navigate any type of non-monogamy, this isn't just about your desire, it's a relational process. And your partner may feel hurt or scared or confused, and that's okay too, especially if they're not sure what this means. So your own self-awareness makes the conversation a lot more grounded and hopefully less like a shockwave. So let's talk about how to start the conversation. Here's a few scripts that could center your curiosity, communicating your care and mutual respect. So let's role play saying, hey, I've been thinking a lot about how my values and beliefs have shifted since leaving religion. One of the things I'm trying to understand more is what kind of relationship structure really fits me and us, and I want to be able to talk to you about it without necessarily creating a whole lot of conflict. I always think it's super helpful if you can share some feelings, right? Like, I'm feeling really nervous talking to you. I can feel my heartbeat kind of speeding up, because automatically that's going to elicit some empathy more than likely from your partner. You can continue with a script that makes sure to include your values. Like, I'm realizing that part of what I value is honesty. I value being really real with you. I value being open, even if that openness is going to be uncomfortable for us. I value freedom and growth, and I value this process of having expanded from where we came from, and I'd really love to continue that with you. I'm curious about ethical non-monogamy as one way to live out some of those values, and I just really want to understand what that would seem like to you. There's a really good balance between making sure you're not asking for permission, like you're talking to a mommy or daddy, which your partner is not, while also making sure you're not coming across as you've already made a unilateral decision that doesn't include your partner. So instead of saying, will you let me, or am I allowed to, or I will do this regardless of how you feel, it might be easier to say something like, hey, I don't have an agenda here. I'm not saying we have to open the relationship. I just want to share some of the things I've been thinking about and hear how it lands for you. Make sure you give your partner time to react. You have probably been thinking about this for a long time. If you're bringing it up, they may not have thought about it at all. This might be the very first time they're even considering this, and that's okay. So just like you want to feel safe enough to share these thoughts, are you safe enough for your partner to have a response that may not be exactly what you hoped for, which is what I refer to as cyclical safety. A lot of people, especially those raised in purity culture or religious patriarchy, fear something along the lines of, will I ruin what we have? Will they think I'm unhappy or cheating, or am I selfish for even wanting this? Some of the things that I mentioned at the beginning. So let me be really clear that wanting something different is not selfish, it's honest. You're not forcing a change, you're inviting a conversation. You can love your partner deeply and still be curious about E&M. Those things are not mutually exclusive. The real harm isn't in the desire, it's in burying it until it festers into resentment or secret behavior, which quite frankly is what happens more often than not. It's so fascinating to me how we talk about non-monogamy like it's so risky, while we understand that the statistics show monogamy ends poorly a large amount of the time, and often due to issues that have to do with some type of betrayal or infidelity. So what if your partner responds poorly? Maybe they'll say something dismissive like, oh, this is ridiculous, you just want to cheat. Or maybe they'll respond in a defensive way, like, are you saying I'm not enough? What does this even mean? They might respond in a fearful way, like, I think this means you want to leave me. Take a breath and check your own defensiveness, your own critiques, your own potentially ways to be condescending and or stonewall, which is the four horsemen of the Gottman apocalypse, right? So if any of you are not familiar with that, that's a good thing to look up. What we really want to start with is mirroring. And mirroring is just the skill of repeating. Just being able to say, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that because I brought this up, you are worried that this means I want to leave you. Am I hearing that right? Do you notice how I didn't share any opinion? I didn't agree or disagree. I didn't make commentary about it. I just mirrored, right? The next thing that you can offer is a validation. So instead of correcting it or getting defensive, you can say, okay, I can see how you might feel that way. This is still not agreement. Validation is just like empathizing, having compassion. I can understand why that might be a fear. And you do that before you correct the assumption. Then once you start explaining your position, you can say more about your opinions. Like, I'm not saying anything's broken or that you're not enough. I'm just really trying to be honest about what I'm exploring internally, and I want us to be able to talk about big things together. Once you do these things, it helps build trust and security. First of all, your partner will feel at least heard and understood since you took the time to mirror, and hopefully they'll feel empathized with if you took the time to validate. So my final thoughts on this is telling your partner you're interested in E&M is vulnerable, brave, and worthy of careful intention on how you're going to do this. Whether you move forward with non-monogamy or not, the real intimacy is in being able to talk about it without fear or shame. If you're deconstructing your faith, you're already familiar with what it feels like to confront hard truths and choose freedom. This is really no different. It's part of your unfolding, and you deserve a relationship where your truth can exist, even if it leads to new conversations or new boundaries, or it doesn't. At least you're able to talk about it. Thanks so much for being here. If you found this helpful, share it with someone else navigating the same journey. And as always, your desire is not dangerous and pleasure is not sin. If you enjoy my content and want to go deeper, go sign up for my newsletter at natashahelfer.com. You'll get a free copy of my current download full of juicy information. And remember to comment. I want to hear all about how this has gone for you. Have you talked to your partner? If you have this interest, how did it go? If you haven't, why not? What's holding you back? And what advice would you have for others who are still waiting for the right moment to approach their partners? Remember to ring my bell and subscribe. I give you full consent.